Welcome to How to Attract Your Dream Customers. This is your trainer, Coach Niquenya, President and CEO of Building Bridges Consulting. Let's go ahead and get started. So again, I'm Coach Niquenya, President and CEO of Building Bridges Consulting, where I specialize in transforming dreamers into successful entrepreneurs. I have over 20 years experience partnering with small business owners, aspiring entrepreneurs, and even nonprofit startups to bridge the gap between wherever you are right now and where you need to be to create a successful, sustainable, and profitable business. I deliberately seek out entrepreneurs with bigger than life visions who want to stop wasting time, monetize their talents, and finally generate the business revenue that their great ideas truly deserve. As a result of working with me, small business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs get connected to their passion, purpose, people, and processes that propel them to profit faster than they ever could on their own. Now, I don't pretend to know all the answers. I've absolutely made a whole lot of mistakes in my 20 years in business. But what's so great about making all these mistakes is that I know exactly what not to do and some best practices, some proven techniques that you can apply to your business so you don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. Entrepreneurship isn't easy at all. It's really, truly a difficult animal. You're doing something totally outside the norm, outside of the expectations, outside of what society has said that we should be doing. If you've been in any of my previous trainings or presentations, you've heard me refer to the master plan, or as you may better know it as the American dream. Go to school, get good grades, graduate, get a good job, make lots of money, get married, buy a house with a white picket fence, have 2.5 kids, and a dog. Sound familiar? Unfortunately, most of us don't live up to these expectations, but we try to use this as a guide for our lives, and the great majority of us fail miserably. I know I did. I had already messed it up very early on. I was a teenage mom living in public housing with two children who were both born disabled. I had bad credit, bad relationships, just bad all the way around. And I knew very early on that the master plan just wasn't working for me because I had already screwed it up. So I wanted to find another way, a way that I could be successful despite what the labels society placed on me call for, what those expectations call for. So I went into business. I decided I wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to be in charge of my own destiny. I wanted to have time freedom and all of the great things that come along with business ownership. So I was kind of in for a rude awakening when I realized just how difficult it would be, especially if you don't have the right support systems in place and the right resources and access to the things that you need in order to propel your business forward. So in my own struggles in trying to figure it all out, I definitely made a million and one mistakes. And one of the biggest mistakes I made was not knowing that I needed help, not actually trying to get help, and not accepting help as it came my way. And so once I shifted my mindset into understanding that no successful person does this alone. They all have someone who reaches out their hands to lift them up and provide them with resources or connect them to other people or help them to solve critical issues in their business. Once I made that mindset shift and I got a coach and I surrounded myself with great people, my business transformed and I was able to apply a lot of the same techniques and tools and practices that I have accumulated and acquired over the years and apply them into my clients' businesses so that they also receive the success that they were after if they defined it sooner than they could on their own. And so that's the whole purpose of what Building Bridges Consulting does. We truly try to find people with bigger than life visions, those dreamers, and transform them into successful entrepreneurs by connecting them to the knowledge and resources necessary to succeed in a global marketplace. And again, success is as you define it, not as society has told us, the master plan, the American dream. So whatever success is for you, that is what we aim to do. That is what we aim to help you to achieve by connecting you to those right resources. So we offer these free trainings for you in order to provide you with information that you need with those proven practices, those best strategies that you can apply to your business and immediately implement them so you can soar freely towards your dreams. So this particular training is all about how to attract your dream customers, how to actually make money in your business, right? Because everybody knows that we think that we have this huge problem in business. Most of the businesses that I've known over the years, and everybody knows that this is one of the biggest statistics that gets thrown out there all the time, is that most businesses fail within the first 5 years of operation, right? And what I found is that many of the clients that I have worked with feel frustrated by a lack of capital resources. They truly believe that it's money is their biggest problem. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not the money that's the issue. It's really not. There's a much bigger issue at play, but often small businesses think that they have to access external financing like grants and loans and investors, etc. And I can tell you that it is very difficult to get a grant if you are a for-profit business. There aren't very many entities that are granting small businesses free money. And loans can be really difficult, especially if you have poor personal credit or no collateral or low collateral. There's just so many different things that go into it, and often some very stringent rules that you have to adhere to. And that the same thing goes for grants. There's often a lot of stringent rules that you would have to adhere to, even if you are granted the funds. And then investing. Investors do not usually go for-profit entities that do not have a technology base to it, some sort of a software innovation or something of that nature where they can expect a huge return on their investment. And so it can be very difficult to look for these external financing sources through grants, loans, and investors. So truly what the matter is, what the real problem is that you don't have enough customers. You're not making enough sales. And I find that many of my clients have a really poor customer attraction and retention process. And so because they're not getting quality leads, people who can actually purchase their products and services, people who actually qualify to purchase their products and services, they often have cash flow issues. So you don't have money on hand in order to grow your business, but it's not because of the money itself, it's because of the customers that you're lacking. So you absolutely need quality paying customers. And I'll get more into what that actually means a little bit later in this training. But you have to have quality paying customers. So let's talk about some common mistakes that small business owners often make. The number one thing that I hear so often, and this is one of the biggest issues, one of the main reasons that you're not attracting the right clients, the right customers into your business, is that you try to serve everybody. It's absolutely impossible to serve everybody. You just can't do it. There's almost 8 billion people walking the face of the earth. Have you ever tried to shout in a crowded room? Does anybody hear you? Absolutely not. But if you pick just one person in that crowded room and beeline to them and directed all of your attention and your voice to them and got close enough for them to hear you, do they hear you? Absolutely. That's what target marketing is. You have to actually figure out who is the person that you want to speak with and communicate to them directly. If you don't, if you try to serve everybody, it's like being in that crowded room trying to shout at over almost 8 billion people that are walking the face of the earth. You cannot have the same conversation with everyone at the same time about the same thing. It's just not going to work. For those of you who are parents or aunts and uncles, you have small children in your life, can you have the same conversation with the children in the same way? Can you discipline them all in the same way? Can you talk to them all in the same way? Absolutely not. They have different personalities, different attitudes, different belief systems. So what works with one child is going to necessarily work with another child. So you have to tailor your conversation so that that particular child understands better and can receive the message that you're trying to communicate. The exact same thing happens in business. You have to tailor your conversations so that the specific people you're trying to reach can hear you. The next issue that I see all the time is that people try to focus on their friends and family. This almost never works. So I am an author of a book called Why You Suck at Network Marketing. And I wrote this book because most of my business clients received their first taste of entrepreneurship through a network marketing company. They became business owners or independent business owners, independent representatives of various network marketing companies, multi-level marketing companies. You might be familiar with programs such as Legal Shield, Young Living, Cincy, Avon, Mary Kay, Amway, all of these, Paycation, World Ventures, these are all network marketing companies. And so if you know anyone in your life who is a network marketer, especially friends and family, they have probably bugged the heck out of you to try to purchase their products and services. And you're like, oh my God, here comes so-and-so with their latest get-rich-quick scheme. And so that's why I wrote the book, because often a lot of the same mistakes that you make as a network marketer, you're making in your business. It's no different, but everybody says network marketing sucks, but it's not really network marketing. Network marketing is a great business model for supplementary or alternative income streams, but a lot of people don't understand how to effectively do it, and they try to shove it off onto friends and family who are not in your target market. Most likely, these friends and family are not in your target market. So I mentioned my book, and one of the reasons I mentioned that book is not just because of the network marketers, but also because, can you guess how many of my friends and family have purchased my book since it's been out on the market? It's been about 3 years now, maybe 4 years, since the book has been published. Can you guess how many of my friends and family have actually purchased that book from Amazon or Barnes & Noble or any of the other bookstores that it is available? Zero. Absolutely nada, zip, zilch. None of my friends and family have purchased that book to date. And one of the reasons is because since you're their friend or family, they expect to get it for free or almost free, or they get really upset with you. And again, they're often not in your target market anyway, because your friends and family are most likely trying not to be as broke as you're trying not to be. So they're as broke as you're trying not to be. So they're just not the right people to focus your time and attention on to promote your products and services. They might be well-meaning, they may have your back, they want to support you and all that great stuff, but a lot of times they don't even get what you're trying to do, because entrepreneurship is outside the norm. Remember, the master plan, the American dream, the things that we've been conditioned to accept or to expect of ourselves because of what society says we should be, or the labels that we are wearing. So your friends and family more than likely are not going to get it. The third mistake that I see entrepreneurs make is that you think you have to be a master salesperson in order to promote your products and services. That couldn't be further from the truth. Think about it. Nobody likes to be sold to, do you? When was the last time a salesperson approached you and you took them out for a cup of coffee and hugged them and, thought they were just the best thing since sliced bread? Probably never, right? We don't like to be sold to. If you think about going into, say, an electronics store like Best Buy, and you get approached by a salesperson, and they say simply, "May I help you?" What do? Yeah, you beeline it to the other direction, as far away from that person as humanly possible, right away, because you don't want to be bothered by the salesperson. Why do we do that? We don't like to be sold to. So if you don't like to be sold to, why are you trying to sell your products and services to other people? It's maddening. So there's a much better way to do it, and it's not by selling. Okay? The fourth mistake is that you don't know how to communicate your value. Oh my goodness, this is a big one. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more a little bit later. But your value is important. If people see the value in what you do, then it doesn't matter how much it costs. Because we buy what we want to buy all day long. Think about every purchase you've ever made, good, bad, or ugly. You bought it because you wanted to. At that particular moment, you wanted to spend the money, even if you couldn't actually afford the item. You bought it because you wanted it right then and there. For whatever reason, you made the decision that you wanted it and you made it happen. So it didn't matter how much the item cost, especially if you weren't able to afford it, because you saw the value in it right then and there. And the thing about it is, if you don't know your value, if you don't know how to communicate your value, if you don't know it yourself, how can you possibly get me to understand the value in what you have to offer? It's not realistic to believe that customers would get it. And that's one of the things I see. Again, network marketers, I love to pick on them because they're just the perfect example of what not to do much of the time. And often they're promoting products and services that they don't use themselves. And because they don't use them, they don't understand the value, and they're just kind of doing it because of the motivation of potential money. And guys, money is not a motivator. It just isn't. You know, if you ask an employee why they left a job, 99% of the time it's not because of the money. It's because of the management or the culture or something of that nature. It's almost never about the money. So network marketers who are motivated by money instead of the passion for the products and services that they're offering, oftentimes you can hear that in their voice. You can hear that in their pitch. You can hear that when they're trying to sell you their products and services. And so that instantly creates dissonance because you don't get it, because they don't get it. They're doing a very poor job of communicating the value to you. And so you can't make a buying decision in the positive direction, in the affirmative direction, if you don't see the value in what the person has to offer. The fifth mistake is you don't have a strategic plan. So many business owners I know are in busyness instead of business, okay? They are doing all this mindless activity and thinking that that if they just keep doing all this stuff, that eventually something will take. While that might be true in the long haul of things, a much better way to do things is to have a clear path, a clear direction, a clear idea of where you're going so that you can actually get there faster. Because you've all heard the saying that if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a direction or destination, then any path will get you there, right? And so that path could be 2,000 days, it could be 20 years, it could be 4 hours. It just really depends on which way you go. And so you have to have a plan. You have to have something in place to help you to stay focused and on the right path toward achieving your particular mission. And so if you're just doing all this activity, something that I see business owners do all the time, they come to me and they say, Coach Niquenya, I can't get customers, I don't know what's going on. And I say, so what are you doing? And they'll say something like, well, I put some posts on Facebook. And that was it. And it's like, that is not a plan. That's not an action plan. That is just some mindless activity. Someone told you that you should be on Facebook, and so you just put a few posts, and that was it. There was no engagement. There was no plan. There was no targeted messaging towards a particular person. It was just you doing a post because you thought that that's what you needed to do in order to get your stuff out there. But who's reading it? So you have to have a plan, a clear plan of action to ensure that you are attracting your customers, okay? And the last mistake I see is that people are wasting time on activity that doesn't make you any money. And that's similar to not having a plan, but as I said, you might be putting things on Facebook, and what does your conversion rate look like? How many people are actually looking at that Facebook post, clicking the link, and saying, yes, I want your products, yes, I want your services? And if that's not happening for you on a regular basis, then the things that you are doing is not working. So it's time to change and do something different. The definition of insanity is constantly doing the same thing but expecting different results, right? So if what you're doing right now, the activity that you're doing in your business right now is not converting into customers, then you're doing something wrong. You're doing something that should not be done, or needs to be tweaked in some way so that that activity starts to make you money instead of wasting time. So what do you do instead? There are 3 things that you absolutely have to do in order to attract and retain your dream customers. And the first is to know your customer. Know exactly who do you serve. Who do you serve? The second is to know your product. How do you serve? How do you show up? And the third is to know your value. Why do you serve? What is your reason? And why should anybody care, right? So these 3 things: know your customer, know your product, and know your value. And let's get into each one of these a little more in depth. So the first, know your customer. Who is your customer? Who is your dream customer? And when I say dream customer, I'm really just talking about your target market or your niche. Okay? These are the people who you most want to serve. And not only that, these are the people who are willing and able to pay your prices. So they have a need, a want, a desire for what you have to offer, but they're also willing and able to pay your prices. And that is the key point, that able part. Because too often we're wasting our time talking to people who can't pay it, who can't afford it. And if they can't afford it, then why are we talking to them? Especially for those of us who are offering higher end products and services at premium prices. You can't do that with someone who doesn't who can't afford it. And so you have to know what their income is. And that's why a lot of times when you are defining your target market, one of the considerations is what is the income range of that particular person. And that's also why we ask the education question, because history has shown that if you have an advanced degree or higher education, you're more likely to pull in a higher income than someone who doesn't. And so those 2 considerations help you to pinpoint people who would be more likely to purchase your products and services because they have the ability to do so. So willing and able to pay your prices. And again, this is often why friends and family are not your target market, because even if they are willing, which usually they're not, they most likely are unable to pay your prices. I see it time and time again. We are wasting our time talking to friends and family who don't fit within our target market, who are not our dream customer, and who cannot pay our prices because, again, they are just as broke as we are trying not to be. So one of the ways that I help my clients to actually determine who their target market is, who is their dream customer, how do they actually figure it out, is to look in the mirror. A lot of times the person who you want to serve looks exactly like you in some shape, form, or another. And I don't necessarily mean completely physically like you. Sometimes it could be mentally like you, or share similar values, or spiritual, or location. There's a number of ways that a person can look exactly like you, but I promise if you are the founder and creator, the owner, the operator of your particular business, your dream customer shares a lot of key characteristics with you, and the whole reason or purpose that you built your business and you're offering the products and services that you do in the first place. You probably saw a need, a desire that you had personally, or someone very close to you had, and you saw a problem and you wanted to solve that problem because that problem is connected to you personally somehow, either, again, by your own personal experience or by that someone who might be close to you. And so if you look at all the reasons that you might have wanted that product or service, and you develop a brainstorm list of all your demographics, your physical characteristics, your geographics, where you are, where you live, where you work, where you play, your location, and your psychographics. These are your behavioral attributes, your buying behaviors, the way you think, your values, your beliefs. If you look at all of these aspects and you do a brainstorm of all the qualities that make up you, and then go back and circle all of the things that relate to the people who you most want to serve. who you most want to solve this particular problem for, you will see that you have a great basis for your market research. And this is without doing any real market research like going to census.gov or anything like that. If you just start here, this is the simplest way to identify who your target market is. And for example, when I first started my business, I wasn't doing just business coaching and consulting. Instead, I was a general life coach when I started off over 20 years ago, and I was about 19 years old. My average client was a white man in corporate America who was in some sort of a career transition. And even though I was a 19-year-old female African American teenage mom, that's who my customers were. And so I know you're probably thinking right now, well, you said look in the mirror. Again, this doesn't have to be a physical look-alike. We don't have to be identical in that way. There could be other things. And so as that 19-year-old teenage mother, remember, I had did all the things that were totally wrong in terms of what the master plan, the American dream was, right? I had all of these things going on that made me frustrated, made me want to turn away from what society expected of me, made me look at entrepreneurship. I was frustrated with corporate America and all the expectations that were put on me, and I was stressed out, and I was sick and tired of being told what I needed to do or what I couldn't do, and I wanted to shape my own future. And so that was the thing, all of those psychographics, those were the things that actually were relatable to the clients that I was serving at that time, because all of them were frustrated and ready to leave their jobs and felt unappreciated and didn't want to continue wearing the labels and the expectations that society placed on them. And so they were my mirror image in that sense. They directly identified with the messaging that I was putting out there in looking for people who were just as frustrated as I am with the way society was set up and how it told us that we needed to be, the expectations that were placed on us because of the labels. And so I identified with these men, and they identified with my messaging, and so they were literally my mirror image. So you can do the exact same thing in your business, and then once you have identified who your customers are, show up wherever they are. So if you know that your customers are parents who like to shop for say health food, then you would spend all of your time in health classes for parents and tots, or going to grocery stores that were specifically geared towards parents, Whole Foods and other health food stores that are around daycare centers and schools, because 99% of the time that busy mom who just dropped off her kids is going to go shopping right after she drops them off or right before she picks them up. And so those will be ideal times to catch those particular people, or in parenting groups and all sorts of things. So once you know who your customer is, go where they go and be where they be. Just show up. And I do this all the time. So if you are a mover and shaker in the world of small business and entrepreneurship, you will have run across me or my name or my company name at some point, especially in the greater Chicagoland area. So I show up all the time wherever business owners are. I'm going to be there if at all possible. Secondly, know your product. What do we mean by know your product? What specific problem do you solve? I can't tell you how many business owners I've talked to who cannot answer this. They may try to rattle off 1,000,001 things that they do, or 1,000,001 things that they have. In the same token that you cannot serve everybody, you also can't serve everybody everything. Okay, so there may be a whole lot of things that you're good at. There may be a lot of things that you have access to, resources that you want to share, products that you can create. However, it can be extremely overwhelming and confusing for your potential customers if you have a whole lot of different unrelated products and services that make it difficult for your customer to figure out what exactly you specialize in. We buy from people who we know, like, and trust. And one of the reasons we get to know, like, and trust them is because we understand or can put them in a category in our minds. We need to be able to actually categorize people and say, okay, well, they're a lawyer and so they specialize in law, or they're a cook and so they have great food. We need to be able to do that. That's the way the human mind works. We try to categorize things all the time. And so if you approach a person and a potential client, a potential customer, and you rattle off 5 million different things that you do, and they could be all over the place, which a lot of entrepreneurs have this issue because you're creative, and so there's a lot of things that you're probably really great at or know a whole lot about, and a lot of different titles you could wear. But if you try to rattle them all off to someone who doesn't know you, they're going to get overwhelmed to hear none of it. They're not going to get it. They won't understand it, and it will just be a waste of time. It will be a wasted conversation. So you need to specialize in something. You need to have that one thing that's your go-to, and figure out what is that particular problem that you solve with this item, and how do you know it's a problem? Because what may be a problem for you may not be a problem for someone else. So how do you know it's a big problem, one that you can actually monetize? And then what does your dream customer currently do about it? The people who you most want to serve, who are willing and able to pay your prices, what are they already doing about it? And what can you do about it that's differently than what's out there? How can you differentiate your products or services from the existing alternatives? And then once you figure that out, define your signature solution using that information. Your signature solution is the #1 product or service you are known for, and it should increase pleasure, decrease pain, or a combination of both. Your signature solution is going to be the most effective way to resolve the biggest problem that your dream customers have. Okay, and if you think about, for example, McDonald's, their signature solution is the Big Mac. That is what they're known for. If you think about Burger King, it's Whopper. If I say Jiffy Lube, then it's their signature oil change. Yes, they offer other products and services, but their target, their primary big solution is the Whopper or the Big Mac or the signature oil change. So you want to do the same thing in your business, because that thing is going to be your quickest and easiest route to profit, okay? The thing that you're most known for. And so when I say the quickest and easiest route to profit, because again, I know that you're probably full of ideas and have a whole lot of things that you're really good at and all of that, but you really need to specialize in one thing. So the easiest thing for you to do is think about what you have the most access to, the most resources for, the most knowledge behind you, that will be the least expensive and the fastest that you can get into the marketplace that solves this big problem for your customers. And that is the thing that's the quickest and easiest route to profit. So build your signature solution around that. You can create a product line for it, but have that one thing that is the flagship product or service that you will use as a catalyst for your business. The third thing that you need to do is know your value. So value is created, guys. It's imaginary. This is a huge secret in the business world. It does not exist. You can make the value whatever you want it to be. You create it. So because you can make up the value, you can also charge whatever you want for it. All you have to do is believe in the value that your solution provides, okay? If you believe in it, then you can communicate it to others. And that's really key here. You have to believe in the value that you're sharing. Build value into your products and services, and then it won't matter what you're charging. And the way that you would demonstrate value is to show the impact that that particular solution would have in the life of your customer through stories. Stories are so powerful because they work with every type of learner possible, whether you are audio, visual, or kinesthetic. Okay, it doesn't matter, because people actually see themselves in the story, they feel themselves in the story as if it's actually happening to them. And so you want to show the impact of your product or your service through stories that are true and that are hopefully personal to you, either things that you've experienced firsthand or that were shared with you by your clients or other customers. And so the story should tell us what will your dream customer lose in their current state and what will your dream customer gain in their future state. So before and after using your product. So how was their life affected beforehand, before the solution was applied, and how was their life changed after using your particular solution to solve their problem, and then what specific results will be produced as a result of using your product and service. A great story would do exactly that, and your story should definitely focus on benefits rather than features. Features is what is it or what does it do, whereas benefits tell us why should we care. So for instance, if I had a bicycle and the bicycle, I could say it's red, I could say it has big, thick tires, it has a wider seat, and it has safety locks on it, state-of-the-art locks on the wheels, the front wheels, state-of-the-art braking system or something like that. Those are all features, okay? That tells us what it is and sometimes what it does. It does not tell me why I should care. So if I turned around and I talked about that bicycle again, but I said that it has a wider seat cushion so that it's a more comfortable ride, the wheels are thicker to allow you to stop and to pick up traction so that you're less likely to skid and fall, and the advanced state-of-the-art locking system, the brake system, make sure that you can come to a complete stop without hurting yourself or anything like that. This now tells me why I should care about the particular features, because those are the benefits, the impact that it would make on the purchase. And as a novice biker, someone who doesn't ride bikes, that would appeal to me more than just telling me about the features. Does that make sense? So once you have built the value through story by sharing the benefits of your solution, ask for the sale. You have to ask for the sale in order to convert the prospect into a paying customer. I can't tell you how many times I've heard from customers that they did not do that particular step in order to attract the right clients and customers into their business. You have to ask for the sale. Some sort of a call to action has to be put out there, whether it's a button that says buy now, or it's you in a consultation saying, may I have your Visa or MasterCard, or how do you want to pay, or whatever it is that gets the customer to shift from prospect into paying customer, okay? So you have to ask for the sale. And then know your worth and charge accordingly, okay? I often have to spend a whole lot of time with my clients convincing them that it's time to raise their prices because they're giving so much value and getting very little in return. So you have to look for the return on your own investment. You spend time and money and energy developing these great solutions for your dream customers. You are doing yourself a disservice if you don't charge for the true value of the worth that you've created in your product. So make sure that you are building in the value, but then charging accordingly for it, okay? So as a bonus, once you've done all that, in order to truly retain your customers, because everybody knows it's so much more difficult to acquire a new customer than it is to just get a current customer, an existing customer, to buy again, to do a repeat purchase. And so ways that you can do this is you want to increase the loyalty and their commitment to you and your brand by under-promising things but over-delivering them, okay? So you tell them some of the things that they'll get as benefits, but then you deliver so much more, okay? And then you want to continue again to show the impact through story, remind them constantly what they will get out of it, focus on the benefits, okay, reinforce it, continue to share customer stories, continue to share best practices and use cases, and train your customer to really understand all the great things that you have of value in in your solutions, okay? You got to do that. And then once you've done all that, you want to then make sure that you are not only asking for the sale, but asking for continued sales, okay? And always deliver from a place of service. Thinking to yourself, what can you do that will make the experience better for your customers? What can you do that will make the experience better? And then that is a way that you truly make an impact. So your plan, what is your plan going forward? To define your dream customer, know exactly who they are, what they look like. You can do that mirror exercise that I talked about at the beginning. Develop your signature solution. What is that number one thing that you're going to be known for? What is your Whopper or your Big Mac or your signature oil change? What is that thing? And then demonstrate value through those benefits-focused stories. Again, stories share the benefits. They create value. Value is created. It's imaginary. And through stories, you're able to demonstrate the value and charge according to the value that you have built into the product or service. And then ask for the sale, and then build and nurture the relationships with your dream customers to make sure that they continue buying, they continue to see your value, they continue to understand that you are an expert in your field. Then once you have done all that, just continue to show up, speak up, and show out, okay? Show up, speak up, show out. Wherever your dream customers are, make sure you go where they go, be where they be, let them know what you do, share the value through the stories, and over-deliver. Show up, speak up, and show out. So again, this is Coach Niquenya, President and CEO of Building Bridges Consulting. You can connect with me through any of my websites, www.coachniquenya.com or buildingbridgeschicago.org. You can also go to Twitter and follow me at Coach Niquenya or Build Bridges Shy. And I would love for you to join my free online training and accountability group at bit.ly/Design Your Dream Biz, or you can search for the Design Your Dream Biz Training and Accountability Group on Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to connect with me again on Facebook or Twitter or on either of my websites. You can request a free business breakthrough strategy session in which I will talk with you for about a half hour one-on-one, and we can discuss your goals, uncover any hidden challenges or obstacles standing in your way of success, and define a next step action plan to help you to gain the clarity and the focus and really know exactly what you should do as your next step to take your business to the next level. If you're interested in that, again, check my website, and I would love to speak with you further about how I can help you to get transformed into a successful entrepreneur. Again, this is Coach Niquenya, President and CEO of Building Bridges Consulting, founder and creator of the Design Your Dream Biz Training and Accountability Group. Looking forward to speaking with you and helping you to transform your business so that you become a successful entrepreneur. Remember to show up, speak up, and show out.